So the Online Safety Act has taken a turn for the worst, and also is just one of the most weirdest things I think ever that could come from anything. Now, if you don't know what the Online Safety Act, it's essentially you need a ID to verify you are of age to use websites like Pornhub and X, Twitter, YouTube, anything that would, I guess, class as anything adult or explicit, so using words that would be considered bad, like fuck, shit, stuff like that. Censored. You need an ID to use this platform. Nope, you're not allowed at all. Now, there's a new one that's come out, which actually kind of boggles my mind to why on earth it has a censorship. However, Spotify have now age-restricted certain things. Now, I don't know what would be classed as age-restricted. Is it songs that have swearing in, or is it podcasts that are deemed as inappropriate? I'm not too sure what part of Spotify would be considered inappropriate, or you need to verify your ID for. Just seems a little bit extreme. I think every platform's doing it. Maybe, and no, I don't really want to blame Spotify as much, because again, there's another website called Rumble, which was popularised by Andrew Tate. They are currently being hammered by the UK government and telling them they need ID verification for their website. And of course, they are against it, and they are, appealing they're against what they're doing. And the UK government said they're closely monitoring. It's obvious. Ofcom, I think, is the guys who are in charge, who are actually dealing with a lot of this, going up to companies and basically forcing them. And if they don't comply, then, of course, they will most likely be restricted in certain countries, which, of course, is bad for business and could potentially lose Spotify quite a fair bit of money if that did happen. So I guess they're to a point where they're like, we don't really have much choice in actually this. We either have a potential for us to be delisted and basically exempt and banned from a country that people are paying us to use our service. So, we probably should comply. And of course they do, because like I said, they don't really have much of an option. But apparently my age check shows I'm not old enough on Spotify. We cannot use Spotify. You cannot use Spotify if you don't meet the minimum age requirements for the market you're in. If you cannot confirm you're old enough to use Spotify, your account will be deactivated and eventually deleted. Why don't you just, stop them from viewing that content, or just keep their account there? I think it's a little extreme in my opinion. And what age was it classed? What is the age limit? It doesn't actually say what. I'm presuming it has to be 18 plus, right? But the age, is it 16? I'm not too sure. My account was deactivated. What should I do? If your account was deactivated due to an incorrect age estimation, you can look for an email in your inbox which allows you to reactivate your account within 90 days. Blah, blah, blah. So essentially, they're basically using AI to estimate. It's like what I said about YouTube will be doing. YouTube will be using the content you view as a estimation on how old you actually are, which 9 times out of 10 is just going to give a false report. Because, say you like watching SpongeBob but you're 30 years old or something like that, it's going to end up thinking you're a child. But in reality, you're not. So I think sometimes it's going to get really wrong. Now, the whole Safety Act, or the Repeal Safety Act, is about 400,000, well over 400,000 signatures now. I think the government is supposed to debate it. Although we all know the answer. It's going to be a no. It's no surprise that it's going to be a no. I think people kind of should expect that by now, that it's going to be a no, but I'm not too sure why people still think Parliament petitions actually do anything. This is what else it says. Spot age-restricted content and checking your age. We partner with Yoti, a trusted digital identity company, to help us identify if users are eligible age to access some Spotify content and features like music videos that are labelled as 18 plus by right holders. So I'm guessing it's just for music videos and stuff like. Why don't you just disable them then? Why don't you just have them disabled? If somebody fails the verification, just disable them. Oh, but if it's censoring music because it's got a swear word in, oh no, it's got the word fuck in it, I think is kind of bogus. It's stupid. Oh no, let's censor the word that the child is most likely, in fact, not most likely, incredibly likely to hear later in life. In fact, they're very likely to hear it while they're young still. Censoring is just trying to stop people from listening. And wow, you add it now like there's not been years that music hasn't been out where people have been swearing. It's a stupid, stupid thing. And if you argue against this towards the government, all the politicians on the Labour side are like, oh, well, if you don't support this, you kind of want children to be harmed. But in an argument, the government really doesn't do anything to stop children being raped and various other things. They don't stop paedophiles. And they most definitely could. They could have a watchdog. They could have more money invested into child abuse and more like that. They could have a lot more money invested into various things like that. There are people out there, predator catchers, that will literally go online and basically seek out predators and bring them in. They don't get paid for that. I think there should be watchdogs of that. In a lot of cases, they should actually do stuff like that to actually lean out paedophiles. Why don't you invest money into stuff like that and helping stuff? And maybe, I don't know, parents should keep an eye, and maybe social media websites should actually delist things, But ID verification for everything, it's gonna get fucking stupid. I get it, you're doing it to protect children, but again, there are many other things you could be doing as well to protect children in this country, and paedophilia and stuff like that. It's still going to continue, regardless of if it's an ID verification for various things. And I already said this, but Xbox will require UK users to verify their age to have full access to social features starting. So, hey bro, you want to join a party? You want to join my party on Xbox? No, I can't because I haven't verified my fucking age. I don't know if PlayStation's going to do anything. I'm sure they are. Nintendo and Steam, the lot of them, again, are probably going to follow suit. Microsoft, they expect to roll out the age verification process to more regions in the future. This is going to be kind of a normalized thing. America is doing it as well, and the EU are really cracking down. The EU age verification app to ban Android apps not licensed by Google. So basically, apparently the EU is reportedly planning to add an Android app integrity check into its age verification app. This would mandate user-only apps licensed and installed from Google Play. So essentially, they're trying to stop you. I'm guessing they're probably going to use age verification to try and cut down on piracy or stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, it's getting towards a point now where I think everyone's been waiting for the UK to do something. They've heard that the UK is going to do this, and they've been waiting, sitting back patiently. And now the UK's pulled the plug and they've done shit on it. They did it. I think they were in a bit of an argument with Apple not long ago about the data protection thing. They pulled the plug on it for UK users. And of course, this government really has been sort of out there with data. They don't really give a shit about your data from the obvious. This AD verification thing, again, it's gonna put a lot more people. Again, we live in an age now where the hacking is pretty high. Identity theft is pretty high. Again, like I said, I've said this before, but the T-app was an app basically a dating sort of thing app. And it had a bunch of IDs stolen, even some government IDs stolen. And I think 70 to 100,000 pictures of people's IDs back and front, and the pictures of the people, enough to basically just steal all that shit right there. I don't know why. I really hope these are secure things you're using, and I mean top secure, because you don't want anyone getting your shit like this. Be major lawsuit. But again, verifying, needing an age verification for Spotify, I think it might be drawing the line. I wouldn't be surprised if you need age verification for pretty much anything. You wake up in the morning, you need an age verification check. It's getting a little bit overkill. But again, there are many other things you can invest money into as well to protect children in this country. There are many other things you can invest money into. ID verification isn't really the end-all type of thing to stop paedophilia and things like that. In fact, I think it's just going to make people... like I said, there are kids that are already beating the system of these ID verification things by using, characters from games, video games and shit. They're doing that sort of shit and they're able to bypass ID verifications. That just shows you how bad these things actually are. And a lot of people have been fairly successful with it. Again, it was only a matter of time to happen, yes. And some websites can crack down on it a lot better. Pornhub, for instance, they've kind of already had an ID verification check in a way. 90% of in fact 100% of the content uploaded to Pornhub is vetted through ID checks. You cannot upload any video. A few years ago, they decided to sweep that off because of a few... I don't know if it was lawsuits, but it was big controversy for them that apparently that they had underage people on there, had uploaded videos and stuff like that. So of course they went on complete lockdown, and anybody who had uploaded videos, if they didn't verify their account, it would completely be off. So it's vetted pretty good. I'd say it's probably the most secure porn website in the sense of vetting people very good. But again, it's just having ID verification for everything might actually become a problem in the future with certain things. And again, people argue as well that social media should be just completely banned for anybody under the age of 18, which I do think is fairly extreme, because it's more of especially X or Twitter. Twitter is probably one of the biggest and most used social medias for news. It's not just an app where people scream and call people pricks and all sorts. It's also an app that people actually get their news on it. It's probably the most political app out there. X, or whatever, if you want to call it Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter because, it really should have been called that. And they have, obviously, ID verification, although they still haven't implemented a system now where you can actually verify your age, which apparently they were going to add some system where you could verify your age. No, you can't anymore, which is pretty annoying. So if you want to verify your age, you just have to wait until they apparently verify. It still says, due to local laws, restricted content, blah, 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 until estimate your age. When is this going to be then? And this is not just for content that is, porn and stuff like that. It's for fucking anything can be classed as that. And you can't really, you can't really do it like that. I don't know. It's all a bit fucking all over the place. But it's getting overkill in my opinion, and a lot of people are against it, even on both political sides. So I do think, I don't know if it will be appealed or some certain things might be drawn back. Porn websites, I can totally understand why it would need verification on the age, but certain things I think can be a little extreme. Some Reddit pages, again, there are some Reddit pages out there that are, borderline crazy. I don't know, at the end of the day, it's one of them. There's not really much you can do about it, and it's clear people have made a petition and the government's like, we could do, but nah.